No bottle opener is needed. Havik is going to be turning the opponent's head into a twist-off. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor. This Fatal Friday, I am looking back on a video where I took Havik into the Kombat League. In one of the random matchups that I got, I ended up highlighting his brutality. Good to be back. That finisher is where he twists the opponent's head until it pops off their neck. Just like with my other Havik finisher videos, I end up pairing him with the kameo Mavado, and my opponent is going to be using Quan Chi and the kameo Sareena.
I'll liberate Outworld, starting with the mines.
Good to be back is the brutality version of Havik's throw. As long as the throw will do enough damage to kill the opponent, you can activate the brutality by rotating your directional buttons clockwise. But I am not sure when during the throw you are supposed to start the rotation. Because of that, I had to try for this brutality in multiple fights before I finally got the timing right against Quan Chi. Speaking of which, it is good to see somebody using Quan Chi. I saw him a lot whenever he was first released as DLC, but then after that he kind of just disappeared and I very rarely saw anybody using Quan Chi online. That was a bit of a bummer too, because Quan Chi was one of my favorite characters to play in this game. He just had a lot of fun animations and a bunch of interesting gimmicks like his portals. And because of tools like that, that made Quan Chi one of my favorite characters to do finisher videos for. In fact, Havik is another one of my favorite characters to do videos for, so this matchup was pretty awesome. This person using Quan Chi ends up doing one of his special moves a pretty good amount. I do not catch on to it immediately, but the Quan Chi teleport stomp gets used by this person regularly. If you predict it or you see it coming, that special move is also super punishable on block. So once I finally did start to realize the frequency it was being used, that opened up a lot of opportunities for me to do some meaningful damage. Speaking of meaningful damage, Quan Chi ends up carrying me all the way to the corner and doing damn near 400 damage to me. That was a pretty lengthy combo. And because of that, I found myself in a pretty early life deficit, and by the time it's all said and done, I dropped well below 30% health while having done barely any damage to Quan Chi. So I began to give it my best effort to see if I could make a comeback in this fight, even though the odds did not look good. But at the same time, I was feeling a bit optimistic whenever I was going through this fight. I thought, you know, it's definitely not impossible. I can do some okay damage with Havik, and Havik tends to trip people up too with things like his command grab, and then if I use Mavado right, maybe, just maybe, I can make the comeback happen. Suddenly we were both below 30% health. I end up pulling off one short combo. I need one more to finish it up. I end up getting the combo, Quan Chi breaks, and an incredible comeback seemed like it was very likely, but unfortunately I come up just short. That would have been a really cool comeback, but it just was not meant to be. And around this point was when I became fully aware of all the teleporting Quan Chi was doing, so I end up blocking it this time around and catching him. I end up punishing it, and doing a good combo in the corner. I end up getting over 300 damage on Quan Chi to start the third and final round of the very first match. And if I had it my way, I was going to keep him in that corner. I used Mavado to throw him back into the corner to try and keep the pressure going, and Quan Chi ends up trying to throw some combos out of his zone using Sareena to try and push me back, but it really does not do him a whole lot of good. Eventually I end up breaking out Havik's command grab combo and then using Mavado's trap to extend it even further. By doing that, Quan Chi drops well below 30% health. He ends up pulling off a small combo on me and breaking out his fatal blow though, so I'm just button mashing as much as I can to reduce the damage, because I really don't want him to try and come back in this third round after I got so close to finishing him off. I basically found myself in the opposite situation of what was going on in the previous round. This time I had the huge life lead and Quan Chi was nearly dead, so I really didn't want him pulling off what I did and nearly coming back in the fight. And it looks like he almost gets a combo to finish up this third and final round. I'm forced to use my breaker, otherwise it definitely probably would have killed me. And then I just barely managed to squeak out a victory with a short combo to deplete the last of Quan Chi's health. So I go up 1-0 in the set. We are going into the second match. And what a really good way to start off this set in the Kombat League. We had multiple rounds coming down to both of us being below 30% health, just barely clinging to life. And it came down to a third and final round. That is about as good as it can get for an entertaining start. And in the second round, I end up kicking things off by pulling off Havik's command grab combo again and then going into Mavado's trap. I seem to be catching Quan Chi with that quite a bit, so I'm going to kind of just keep using it until he finally realizes how to stop it. Then Quan Chi continues to try and make good use of Sareena to continue his combos, so I just block as much as I can away from my opportunity. I'm forced to use Breaker because he does actually end up catching me with Sareena's very last knife and starting the combo anyway. That's a bit of a bummer. But then, like I said before, I end up catching Quan Chi teleporting again, and I really should have had a good combo of my own, but the problem was, I thought I had a full bar of kameo meter for Mavado, but I didn't, so I tried summoning his trap, but no Mavado. Regardless, I do manage to get Quan Chi below 30% health, and he catches me with an overhead and goes into his fatal blow again. I've gotten caught by that twice. And courtesy of the fatal blow damage coming to about 360, suddenly I am also now below 30% health, and this fight got a lot closer. And while I continue to cling to the smallest part of my health bar and block whatever Quan Chi is throwing at me, just waiting for a good opportunity, suddenly he does it again. He goes for the teleport, I punish, and I finish off the very first round. So I only need one more round and I'm going to win the entire set. In the third round, I end up getting caught by one of Quan Chi's combos that he caps off with a teleport. Then I go into my command grab combo, but again I did not have enough meter to use Mavado's trap. That's a bummer. But then Quan Chi uses Breaker on my follow-up combo, which was just going to be an overhead to knock him down. I wasn't even capable of extending that. So he actually ends up wasting all of his meter. I don't know if he realized that or not. I ended up doing really good damage with my armored wake up earlier because Quan Chi just kept hitting me and not breaking my armor, and that just made it more powerful. So I did it again, and then suddenly we were both very, very low on health. But then I realized just how weak Quan Chi was, and I needed to take advantage of that because the throw would kill him, so I went for the brutality.
You have permission to die. Brutality. Havik wins.
There it is, that was the good to be back brutality for Havik. Quan Chi lost his head and we end up winning this thing 2-0. We actually end up freezing up here before the final score pops up because Quan Chi bailed out before, I assume, my brutality finished. Which this was a really entertaining one to watch back. I end up winning 2-0. I only lose one round in the entire set. Which, saying it like that makes it sound like this was probably some dominant performance, but really? The score does not do it justice. This was really close from start to finish. Every single round between me and the random Quan Chi user, it came down to both of us being below 30% health. So these fights really could have gone either way, it just so happens they really went in my favor the majority of the time. So I'm happy about pulling off the brutality, I'm happy about getting some really close fights, thank you to the random Quan Chi user that I got to fight against in the Kombat League. It was a really fun one, and I enjoyed watching this one back. But yeah, as I wrap this thing up, Quan Chi lost his head in that brutality, and I'll be sure to show the brutality one final time at the very end of this outro, that way we can all enjoy it one more time before we part ways on this Fatal Friday. But yeah, I was using Havik before the Chaos Reigns DLC came out to kind of give an idea of when this footage took place. I hear that Havik got a lot more tools, but even back then I thought Havik was a lot of fun to play. Not necessarily easy to get wins with at the time, but fun all the same. And I'm really liking watching these back and seeing how everything came together whenever trying to get his brutalities. And I was talking about how I liked playing as Quan Chi before as well. I got all of his brutalities and fatalities on like the first couple of weeks he was released. So I really only accounted for the way Quan Chi was basically on day one. Since then I know he has gotten a lot more tools, like I know he got one more portal that gives him armor on top of the portals he already had that advanced his projectiles and also granted some separation against the opponent. Then I think his bone cage got improved as well, so I think Quan Chi just got a lot more stuff over time, and that's another character that I thought was already fun to play as, so in hindsight I kind of wish I had waited so he got all these tools and I could mess around with those whenever trying to get the footage for these videos. But as it is, I got all those finishers as Quan Chi in basically his day one form. I have already knocked out all of those videos as well, so there's really nothing new for me to do with Quan Chi, so the best I can do is occasionally randomly have a video where I'm fighting against him. Anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other stuff I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other finisher videos just like this for Mortal Kombat 1. Those can all be found under the Fatal Friday playlists. I have this separated based on the videos I released last year and the videos I am releasing this year. Then I also have playthroughs of other games entirely like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, its remakes. Also stuff like Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver and Crash Bandicoot, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. Even if you don't, thank you for checking out this video for this long. Take care, hopefully I will see you next time.
You have permission to die. Brutality! Brutality. Havik wins.